Hello everybody, welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello, Scott.
Josh, my friend, Sony like money.
They really do.
Did you realise Sony hiking the prices of the PlayStation Plus subscriptions? Now, these are the yearly based subscriptions and the yearly price tags that are going to be changing very, very soon, going forward. In the US, PlayStation Plus will go up from $60 to $80 for the essential tier. That's the bottom tier, the one that lets you play online. $100 to $135 for PlayStation Extra. That's the middle tier, including the wider game catalog. And $120 to $160 for PlayStation Premium, or PlayStation Plus Premium, which is the highest tier that includes PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games, PlayStation 3 streaming, and streaming in general. To roll in the UK price version of this, that is £60 for Essential, £100 for Extra, and £120 for Premium, a 33 to 35% increase across the board. What the hell?
It's brutal, man. It really is. I think just kind of announcing this out of the blue and having it come into effect so soon, I think it's September 6th, I want to say, when this pricing model finally happens. I just think it's kind of outrageous, especially because it's not like they've announced any reason why necessarily or are providing any new... Sorry, go on.
No, I want to give you that terrible reason.
Go on then.
They announced this on the PlayStation Plus blog post. They always announce what the new games are coming each month. And then at the bottom it was just, oh, by the way, we're changing all the price tags as well. Their reasoning is that they need to do this because this adjustment will enable them to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to the PlayStation Plus subscription service. Where are they? I'm not seeing them. Where's the value? What have you changed?
It's very funny that they've announced this in the same blog post that states the most recent Saints Row game is coming as a monthly game. Like, that is kind of crazy.
High-quality games.
High-quality games. Maybe they're kind of saying, look, do you want us to keep providing you with Saints Rows? If you'll have to give us more money if you want actual good games. No, I think, there's obviously a lot to break down that we're going to go into in regards to what PlayStation Plus has to offer, especially versus its main competitor, which is Game Pass. But I think just generally asking for more money in a time where we are all kind of skint and prices are going up and inflation is so high, it feels like a kick in the teeth, especially when you aren't providing, they're not adding, or they're not like doubling down on classic games or anything like that. They're just, it's the service you've always got, and it's just going to cost more.
I don't honestly, like I said, we'll get to this. I'm going to bring Xbox pricing into this as well, because obviously it's the main competitor, it's the main comparison point. But I don't feel, at the outset, I don't feel like they've done right by the additional tiers of PlayStation Plus. Like, PlayStation Plus Extra is a really good deal, or has been a good deal so far. The premium stuff, I've thought, has been ridiculous, just abysmal since they launched it. The idea of touting the idea of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 classics. I know you like them way more than I do. I just think they've done horribly by that. They didn't secure the Crash Bandicoots, the Spyros,
it's true,
the Legacy of Kains, etc. And they just barely add to that thing. It's just sort of there. There was like a leaked report that Jim Ryan said he doesn't really consider the idea of Game Pass Catalog's legacy stuff as a serious thing to think about. And you can tell it's not like they're putting the money into respecting the PlayStation legacy in a way that Nintendo do over on the Switch with their past consoles, the libraries that you can get over on Switch. There's a way better way to do a premium tier if you're then going to add additional price tags to it. For me, like I said, that top tier has been a joke since day one anyway.
It's tough because I'm currently subscribed to that top tier, tier, and I'm enjoying it. What keeps me there is particularly the PS3 library, and I know it's streaming and that has its own problems, but I played a lot of PS3 games through there, and I think the Classics catalog in that regard are really good and worth the price of admission on top of, game trials, and there's something else that they tout. I think it's just streaming in general.
Yes,
but also, stuff. Like you said, you've got the PlayStation 1 and 2 games, which definitely have been underserved. Like, I don't want any more Siphon Filter games for a long time, Every new month, it feels like there's another Siphon Filter game. Do you want the PSP one? Okay, I guess so.
Logan Shadow's really good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is, but there are other titles that you can probably choose from, and in that regard, I do think it's a letdown. I'm kind of torn on this because this price hike will get me rethinking which tier I am subscribed to, because, I still think it's a really good service, so I am going to stay subscribed, but is that kind of PS3 library worth the extra £20 a year that I will be paying, especially when it is streaming, and a lot of those games I can play better on Game Pass? If you compare Red Dead Redemption, the original version, not the most recent port / remaster, like, the experience streaming that versus playing it upscaled in Game Pass was night and day.
The streaming stuff's never done it for me at all. Like, I tried streaming Dark Sector. I just went on something that I would just randomly want to try and stream for the sake of trying the PlayStation 3 streaming, and I thought it felt horrible. There was too much lag, there was too blurry, it was too low resolution, etc., etc. Problems with streaming are obvious, but it was very obvious, and it was just that thing where I was like, why am I even paying for this? And I don't feel like they've done right by that either. I know that at the minute they're rolling out this 4K streaming technology to let you stream newer games, but you'd kind of want an overall rising tide raises all ships thing if they were going to have a more robust service to then put a new price point on it. It's worth mentioning, like we said, that they announce this stuff they announce the PlayStation Plus games every month, and the games that are coming in September are Saints Row, Black Desert, the MMORPG, and Generation Zero, one of the lowest rated games of the last few years. So the idea of them, it's a bad optic move.
Yes.
To say here's this price hike, but we're bringing high quality games, and then you're rolling out Saints Row. As an Xbox Live comparison, that service is also changing in September. Microsoft/Xbox announced this earlier in the year, and they're changing out Xbox Live Gold. It's going to become Xbox Game Pass Core, which is their new bottom line, replacement for Xbox Live Gold, their new bottom tier for the monthly service. So the pricing for that, the new Xbox Game Pass Core, which is the multiplayer tier, and you get a collection of 25 titles to replace the idea of games with gold every month. That's going to be $60/£50 for a year, which is $20/£10 less than the new PlayStation Plus bottom tier. The new regular Xbox Game Pass, the middle tier, there's 3 tiers to Xbox Game Pass as well, just to throw everybody off. The middle tier of the new Xbox pricing model, which gives you the full Game Pass library, also includes the 25 games that I just mentioned, and every new first-party title day one like Starfield.
But does not include multiplayer, if I'm
No,
correct.
does not include multiplayer because they want you to get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which we'll get to, but this medium tier thing will be $11/£8.99, which is $132 a year /£108 a year. Then you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which is multiplayer and the entire Game Pass library, which is $16.99 a month, or £12.99, which is $204 a year, or £156 a year.
All this news has done is made me realize how much I'm paying for subscription services, because I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate as well,
Same.
which you can't buy through Xbox on a yearly basis, and I've just realized that I'm spending £13 a month, which works out to a lot of money a year.
Yep.
Actually more than the PlayStation Plus premium service if you buy that in a yearly chunk. And I just can't believe how much I'm paying for all this stuff, Scott.
I want to throw in direct comparisons here because it's a lot of numbers, it's a lot of statistics, but if you directly compare the PlayStation service to the Xbox service, and we're going to stick with dollars here to make it a little bit more just straightforward as a straightforward comparison, a PlayStation Plus Essential versus the Xbox Core tier is $80 versus $60. You have the PlayStation Extra versus regular Game Pass is $135 versus $132, and PlayStation Premium versus Xbox Ultimate is $160 versus $204.
Wow.
So the final tier, you're actually better off on the PlayStation side. However, the argument then comes in, is the top tier PlayStation thing better than the top tier of Xbox's Game Pass?
That's it, right? And that's where I think everyone's opinion will differ, because I like the service that PlayStation offers. I think the game library itself is better than Xbox's, but you can't deny that on the Xbox side, they do get things like Starfield Day One. You get all of the first-party titles. Admittedly, haven't been many of them so far, but theoretically in the future, that is a huge boost. You get what I mentioned before with the upscaling, the auto HDR, which makes just playing those older games feel that much better. So, I think there are pros and cons to both systems. To me, the big sticking point is not even necessarily what the price is going up to, though I think it's expensive. I think it's just the optics and the kind of ignorance of Sony to raise prices this much for seemingly no reason. Like, that's the big sticker. We can kind of compare and contrast the services all day, but it to me, it is Sony just being like, yep, like it or lump it, it's going up by a lot, and you can't even play basic online now unless you pay $80 a year.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest immediate takeaways, is that it will be that $80 price point just to play your multiplayer games that you're assumedly already playing right now. I'm largely going to get rid of PlayStation Plus for a bit. I want to see what a PS5 or the PlayStation ecosystem feels like if I remove it all together. I feel like a lot of the conversations around this, having been with these systems since the very, very beginning, in the beginning of Xbox Live, the beginning of PlayStation Plus, I just signed on to all these things as they came my way. I do feel, though, optically, reputationally, whatever, PlayStation Plus was always in the shadow of Xbox Live. Over the years, it's become more of a go-to de facto thing to just, get, if you're getting a PlayStation, get a PlayStation Plus subscription as well.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, PlayStation Plus was just Sony's little weird attempt at trying to catch up with Xbox Live, and they didn't even charge for online multiplayer for the first generation that it was available. So it's a weird thing where I've kind of lived with these services for so long, but I'm gonna get rid of them for a bit and just see how things feel. Does it still feel like I'm getting a good experience as a consumer? Because to my own detriment or whatever, I've just put up with this stuff, but this feels too egregious.
It does,
and
right?
I don't, as a consumer, like, there's the critical journalistic side, whatever, but just as someone who pays for these things every month, then PlayStation Plus Premium is not worth this money. Right? For me, it's just not. So like, I want to get rid of that. And I think if they want to do right by consumers, or at least do right by me, you need to do better with the classics catalog. You need to fix your streaming. You need to make that more of a quality service, and start putting more first party stuff on there day one. Or
That's a biggie, isn't it?
I know, that's the thing, and I'm that's a whole other thing, is like whether that is the crux or not, because that's a great thing that Xbox offers, and the fact that you can get Starfield day one is incredible. But I just wonder, Sony, the way that they've approached it, they've got God of War Ragnarok isn't on there yet, Horizon Forbidden West is, but at the same time, it's like, is that the crux? Is that where we're at? Do first party games need to be on there day one? Is that a thing that people expect, or can you monetize different ways?
For me, if they're going to keep increasing the price to this extent, they absolutely need to be on there. Like previously, I didn't mind that we didn't get the first party stuff because it would arrive eventually. Like you said, Horizon Forbidden West, which came out last year, that is on the service. We're still waiting for God of War Ragnarok, but to my knowledge, everything from Forbidden West previously is on there, which means if you haven't played those first party titles, it's
all
kind
three
of
of them.
It's a treasure. No. It's a treasure trove because you get the likes of Forbidden West, you get Returnal, you get Demon Souls, you get Spider-Man Miles Morales, then you get the old ones like Days Gone, Death Stranding, the Director's Cut, the PlayStation 5 versions. There's a lot of good Sony stuff on there, but that only works if you haven't played them, if you didn't catch them at release, which I imagine a lot of people do because they kind of, at least Sony first party titles usually, review really well. They kind of have that event feeling. So I think a lot of people jump in, at launch compared to Microsoft, which, like I said, doesn't have as many first party titles, but you can guarantee that they are arriving day one on Game Pass. So I think that is going to be a sticker going forward with them raising the prices, because if they continue to up the price, you start asking questions of, well, what are you actually offering? You start doing what we're doing today, of kind of going through the services and looking at exactly what they're giving you on a monthly basis and deciding, is that worth it? I'm not going to go as far as you and cancel both subscriptions, but I'm probably going to knock Xbox Game Pass Ultimate down to just the regular console Game Pass because I don't play online multiplayer on my Xbox. And likewise, at least for a little bit, I'm probably going to knock down my PlayStation Plus subscription to just extra to get that game library, because I don't really use game trials, and there's nothing on the horizon in terms of classic games that's appealing to me right now, especially when we've got so many new games coming out. So I think it's definitely going to encourage a rethink. Massively.
The reason I said the all three thing before is that I'm thinking of new PlayStation stuff that would contend with new Xbox stuff. Like on the Xbox side, you've got Phil Spencer now saying they want to commit to 4 new first-party titles every year. Obviously, something like Starfield is the caliber that you'd like to expect on day one. Obviously, if we're comparing legacy libraries or libraries so far, it's a no-brainer. The PlayStation library is far and away above the Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us, etc. There's no remote comparison there at all.
Yeah, I think it's difficult because I know we've spent all this video like comparing and contrasting the different services, but I bought into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate on the presumption that we would have had a lot of those games already.
Right.
And look, I've really enjoyed playing the likes of Forza Horizon 5 on Game Pass day one, and like I said, I'm going to definitely play Starfield, but I expected a little bit more with the promise of these titles dropping day one, when in reality it's been like Redfall. You know what I mean? But going forward, it's going to be interesting because it does seem like they're ramping up, and as long as those games are good, then it's only going to make Game Pass a stronger service overall, whereas with Sony, you'll be waiting a little bit to get the likes of Death Stranding 2 on, PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, overall, it's just the fact that, we found out earlier in the year that Xbox were going to be changing the naming of their service, changing some of the tiers and stuff in September, so it feels like Sony have gone, we can do a bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We might as well hike ours up as well, and because we have the majority of the market share right now, we can go for this and see what we can get away with. It's just that if you're a Sony fan across the last sort of couple decades, you might remember the hubristic nature of Sony across the PlayStation 3 era, and how, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. We were always dancing around the idea of this coming back around. We haven't even really talked about the wider ramifications of Sony right now, the amount they're charging for the likes of the PlayStation Portal, the new handheld system that's going to be $200/£200. Things like that, where they're just trying to see what they can get away with. How much can they charge for this premium service, this premium console, etc., and will the average consumer pay it, because it is this it can be viewed as a luxury brand now.
And they've been getting away with it for the past few years because they are the market leader, because they know their games are good. Like, they already did it with the first party titles by starting to charge $70 for them, saying, well, people will pay them because there's a level of quality there. People will pay for them because there's a level of quality there that we can, more or less guarantee, and they are worth it. I think with being the market leader, knowing that comparatively Xbox might beat them out in terms of Game Pass on a few levels, but it's not like a total like wipe where
No.
Game Pass isn't like radically cheaper, it's not radically better. So I think they're kind of just going, well, go if you want, but we know you're not going to. And that sucks. I hate it when any company just kind of has you in the palm of their hand like that because they know you're not going to switch, because they know the competitors, offering isn't substantially better than theirs, so they can say, well, it's only a couple extra quid a month, and that
also,
is lame.
Yeah, on both sides, we're going into the Call of Duty season. Like, we're going into FIFA/EAFC 24. Like, we're going into these massive mainstream releases where people are going to want to play the online multiplayer, so they're going to have to entertain, at least on the Xbox side, additional tiers if they want to maintain their libraries and play online as well. But it's just, it makes all the business sense and very little consumer sense.
And I'll tell you what hurts the most, Scott, is
Go
that
on.
I think this is just the beginning, because all around the world, no matter what the industry is, like, streaming subscriptions are going up. I imagine that, Xbox is raising their prices now, Sony's raising their prices now. When the Activision deal goes through, I imagine, maybe not immediately after, but they're going to take on a lot of games. They're going to use that to justify a price increase. Sony will then probably see that and go, well, we'll charge more because we're going to put all of these new PlayStation 5 games on there. I can only see this rising. I can never see it dropping. I can't, correct me in the comments if you can, but I can't remember like a movie subscription service slashing its prices. Like Disney Plus is always going up, Netflix is always going up. They might introduce new tiers, but it's always rising.
That's the wider conversation, which we'll revisit at either on the What Culture Gaming podcast, go subscribe, or a different video at some point in the future, is whether the streaming model even remotely actually can be a replacement for the unit sales model, in terms of actually getting the best ideas off the ground and sustaining developers and publishers, etc. And the industry at large. You would assume that the amount of prices being risen across the board for subscription models, for streaming models, proves that it can't be. That the actual idea of a unit cost thing that we've had for a couple of thousand years is maybe the way forward, but you never know. Let us know what you think down in the comments below, though. I'll put a video here for PlayStation recommendations for you to enjoy, because I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.